Morning guys, welcome. This is Glasgow Rangers Nation. I'm Owen James and this is all your latest matchday news, guys. Been away for a few days, kind of just trying to complete my move, moving away obviously to a new location. So still obviously setting everything up, back up again, getting going again with the channel. Welcome, of course, back. It is ridiculously hot and sunny here this morning in Coventry. Crazy hot, man. Anyway, look. Game tonight, we'll talk about a bit about that in a moment, for definite. We're also going to talk about what Russell Martin's been having to say about Nicholas Rascan, and the fact that he is unsettled to some degree with everything that's been going on around him. Look, I think tonight's game it's a weird one. It's a strange one. After the performance in the first leg, the 3-0 victory, I think the expectation is that Rangers go over to the Czech Republic, Czech Republic, whatever you want to call it, and complete the job. That's the expectation, isn't it? It would take a collapse of absolute disastrous performances, disastrous levels to go out at this stage. It really genuinely would. Rangers obviously 3-0 up. It's a lead that they're going to have to score 4 goals to overtake us. So it's tricky. It's obviously going to be a tricky tie. They were very, very poor in the first leg. You've got to kind of think that. Genuinely, will they be as poor again? Can Plitzen be as bad for a second game in a row? Or is that their natural level? Is that how they naturally are? That they're naturally that bad a team? That's the big question for tonight. But there we go. So look, we'll talk about that as well. Let's start off with the story about Nicholas Rascan. Rascan, obviously, who has been, well, according to the media, this is the subject of a number of bids, or should we say interest, from English Premier League clubs, in particular obviously from Aston Villa was rumoured, Wolves was rumoured, Leeds United was rumoured, all supposedly interested in the diminutive Belgian, who last season playing in the 6 role was absolutely outstanding. This season hasn't been quite as effective, I think because he's been used in a different way. He hasn't been used as a 6. He's been used more as an 8. He hasn't been put into that favoured 6 role. Rothwell obviously taking the majority of game time in that 6 role, whatever you think of Joe Rothwell. So, Rascan's a very, very talented footballer. He's someone who, when he plays for the Belgian national team, looks every bit as good as the people around him. And if you consider the Belgian national team has some exceptionally talented footballers in like the Yuri Tielemans, Kevin De Bruyne, for example. And Rascan doesn't look out of place in any of those teams. So, the guy's clearly got a lot of talent. He's clearly a very good footballer. But I think this season he has suffered massively from the fact that he has been used in perhaps not his favoured position, not the best position. And people talk about the professional footballers, they should be able to play anywhere. Well, yeah, I get that. Of course I do. But by that same token, if you are particularly outstanding at doing a particular job, or you're particularly outstanding at playing in a particular position, then you develop an expertise in that, a talent for that, and that's what Rascan has done. Now, Rascan, the manager talked about Rascan yesterday in his press conference, spoke about the fact that obviously Nicholas had been taken out of the team, and as far as he was concerned, he had responded exceptionally well to that. Had not had throwing the toys out the pram, had not had a dicky fit about it, had behaved in a very responsible manner, despite the fact that there was reports in the media saying that him and Rascan had fallen out, which seems to have been just media speculation again. We all know the media in Scotland are very biased towards one side of the city over the other. We all know the media, in terms of the media in Glasgow, will do everything they can to unsettle Rangers because they don't like Rangers, and we know that. But look, whatever, those reports appear to have now been squashed. So he's talked about the fact that he feels that Rascan this season, his form has not only been down to the fact that he's been asked to do a slightly different job, but also the fact that he's been unsettled by the speculation around his future, the rumours about his future. Now, it kind of flies in the face a little bit of what Martin said. Martin said the other day that the only player they'd actually received a bid for was Cyril Dessers, which is slightly concerning because it does kind of tell you how crap the rest of the players must be if the only team that seems to have bid on anyone is Ajax Athens for Dessers. Shows you how rubbish the rest of our players are if nobody wants them. There you go. But Rascan, obviously, no official bids. Now, it appears that all the interest in terms of clubs trying to get Rascan have been through direct contact with Rascan and his agent, which obviously is illegal. It's tapping up, it's not allowed. But there appears to have been some sort of, talks going on. But there is ways around that, obviously. We all know that. Villa, obviously, Yuri Tielemans plays for Villa, plays for Belgium. Villa say to Yuri Tielemans, go and have a chat with him about coming to Villa, etc., etc. That's how it works. We know that. That's just a standard thing, isn't it? In football, Steven Gerrard, in his autobiography, talked about how, when he was at Liverpool, they would ask him to text or call certain players they were interested in to kind of inquire as to whether or not they'd be interested in coming. That was kind of thing, and to sort of sing the praises of the club. So we know it goes on in football. Of course it does. But, I think there could possibly be some truth in it. That Hamza is another one that I think there's been some unsettlement around Hamza because of all the rumours about Lille and so on. The rumours about him signing here, there and everywhere. There's going to be, at the end of the day, if you are a player who is getting interest from clubs in bigger leagues, like Rangers obviously one of the biggest clubs in the world, but the EPL is the biggest league in the world, and if you've got EPL teams interested in you will be head turned. It is that, because the wages they can pay you are massively substantial to what Rangers can pay you. The amount of money down there is massive compared to up here. It is going to turn your head. So I think there is some degree of truth in that unsettlement of Rascan by the speculation around him and around his future. With Villa, like I said, with Wolves, etc., all being interested in the player. Hop, you lazy. My dog's just, rather than jump the fence, has gone under it. Why lazy so-and-so? Anyway, so hopefully, Rascan, obviously, Martin spoke about the fact that he wanted to get to the end of the transfer window. He felt once the transfer window was closed, there'd be a sort of closure on this, a kind of, settlement of Rascan, a settlement of the team, and it would all calm down, and Rascan maybe obviously come back to where he was playing last season. I think part of it, though, is down to the way that Russell Martin uses him. I think Russell Martin has made a lot of tactical mistakes at the start of his tenure as Rangers manager. I think he's misused a lot of players. He playing players in the wrong position, playing players out of position. It does seem that the managers we've had over the last few years, the Clemons, the Beals, etc., have all had this weird desire to buy players and then play them out of position. I personally don't get it. You don't buy a goalkeeper and play him up front. I'm not saying they've done that, but it's that sort of stupidity. But look, Rascan, hopefully it all settles down. Hopefully he ends up staying. Okay, so over in the Czech Republic tonight, second leg. Look, as I said, it's got to be a massive disaster, realistically, to go out at this stage. And the risk of sounding complacent, I think, you look at it and you kind of think, well, next game is going to be the toughest. Obviously, Salzburg and Brugge. I personally think that it looks like Club Brugge will go through. They're one up from the first leg, going to their home tie, where they're usually very strong at home. Brugge, I just feel will be too strong for us. I do feel that we will exit the Champions League at this stage because Brugge are a class above, and I don't think we're good enough. I genuinely, after watching the first few games, feel that we're anywhere near good enough. People can say, the biggest thing I've had since that video I made the other day about Russell Martin, the crap video, which is what the first 4 words spell out, those of you who didn't notice, has been, get off it, what are you smoking, put it down, give him time, blah, blah, blah. Walter Smith once signed 3 free agents, went into a season with just 3 free agents, won a league. Give him time. You know what, it's the biggest lie in football. The biggest lie in football. There's a lot of teams who buy a lot of players and succeed straight away. You've only got to look at what Derek McInnes is doing at Hearts. Played 2-1-2 with a lot of new players in that team, with a new manager. Jimmy Thielen last season at Aberdeen. So I think this whole give them time, they need time to gel, time to whatever, it's the biggest load of bullshit in football. It's the absolute biggest load of bullshit in football. And it's got nothing to do with time. It's got to do with the quality of your manager, the quality of your coaching, the quality of what you do as a manager to get your team ready and organise your team. And if you look at what the job that Derek McInnes has done at Hearts, I still argue that Derek McInnes would have been a better managerial appointment for Rangers than Russell Martin. This time thing is the biggest lie, and it's the biggest excuse used by the happy clap minority within our fan base. And there still is a very vocal happy clap minority within the fan base, who they come out with the same old tired bullshit, you know, the same old tired crap week in, week out. You know, give them time, need time to gel, blah, blah, blah. Get off this player's back, don't criticise them, don't criticise. They're not playing, you criticise them. You know, I'm sorry, I'm not going to sit and watch a game that's dire and go, oh, they played so well, they tried so hard. That's bullshit. That's boring. And it seems that some of these people that, you know, and I've had some comments on here, like water off a duck's back now, doesn't really bother me, but you know, you get stupid comments, why are you pretending to be a Rangers fan? Fuck off, 40 years, mate, 40 years, do one. These sad little bastards who sit behind their keyboards, and they're very brave behind a computer screen or behind a mobile phone screen, typing these comments. They're very, very brave, you know, doing that. But one day, someone will find out, you know, if they'll say the wrong thing to somebody, or someone will leave their IP address somewhere, and someone will find them, and they'll get their comeuppance, someone will knock them spark out, because they're sad little trolls who have no life. They genuinely are sad little individuals. Anyway, look, tonight it's about getting out there, I think, at least trying to keep it tight. I think defensively we are a mess at the moment. Defensively we are far from solid. And I think it's something we're going to just have to learn to accept. We are going to have to kind of work on the basis of, I think, that we have to score more than the opposition to win games. You know, if you look at Russell Martin's previous work at previous clubs, that's very much his modus operandi, his way of working. You know, look at the amount of goals his team ship. I think he's only got a +5 positive goal difference across his whole managerial career. You know, you ask MK Dons fans, you ask Swansea fans, you ask Southampton fans, they all ship goals like nobody's business, those teams. So, look, at the end of the day, it's something we're going to have to accept. That, you know, defensively, we're not great. And I think that you look at the team as well, you look at the players we've got, they're not a team that are naturally really good defensively. You know, we've got 2 right backs. You've got Max Aarons and James Tavernier. I mean, it's just like choosing between windscreen wipers on a submarine or a pork pie at a Muslim wedding. It's, you know, they're about as much use as each other. I mean, James Tavernier is about as much use as windscreen wipers on a submarine, and Max Aarons is about as much use as a pork pie at a Muslim wedding. You know, so look at that. Defensively in the centre, we don't look solid at all. You know, we're interested in this Noble Mendy, a player who's not played a lot of games for Betis, not started a lot of games for Betis. It seems that we've got a kind of very weird transfer policy of only signing players who've hardly played or, you know, haven't had a lot of experience, and hoping that we can get them to come good, which, you know, defensively, when you look at Russell Martin's record, it is, the odds are not good. The odds do not favour it. Jefte, he's all right going forward, but defensively shaky. Reportedly subject to a bid, 5 million from Palmeiras, apparently. You know, what if they're going to give us 5 million? Get him gone. To be honest with you, I'd rather keep Ridvan at the club for the rest of the season. Really, genuinely would. But, I mean, look, tonight the team, I think he'll line up with Butland in goal. I mean, to be fair with Jack, he's not really done a lot wrong this season so far. Back 4, I think, will be Tav, unfortunately, at right back. Because, like I said, Aarons was pretty poor against Dundee at the weekend. James Tavernier was equally as poor, but because he scored a penalty, of course, he's the hero, the saviour of the club, because he scores a penalty that Cyril Dessers could have scored, that Danilo could have scored, that Gassama could have scored, that any fucker could have scored. So, but because it's James Tavernier, of course, he is the next Kylian Mbappe. But Tav will have to, unfortunately, start at right back. Giga, I think, will start because he's obviously not suspended for the European games. Suter, then I think Suter's a good lad. I like Suter, but he's not a left-sided centre-back. Jefte probably at left-back. Midfield 3. Look, Dio was awful on Saturday. Absolutely dreadful. I would go with Rothwell, Rascan, and probably you've got to put in there, I don't know. It's a difficult choice because it's just the midfield has been awful. Bypassed easily on a number of occasions. So, you know, Rothwell, Rascan, maybe you bring in Barron to try and keep it a little bit more sturdy at the back there. Go with a very defensive 3. Maybe that's the way forward. I don't know. It's a tricky one, guys. It really is a tricky one. Front 3 will be Antman, Dessers and Gassama, I think. But yeah, options do seem a little bit lacking at the moment. I think obviously as well with the midfield, not having Asgard fit. I mean, what the bloody hell is wrong with him? I mean, seriously, from an injury that wasn't supposed to take very long, he's suddenly out for donkeys. Where is he? What's wrong with him? I don't know. Here we go. That's just typical Rangers injury curse, isn't it? But look, I think tonight we go there. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. We get through on that. But it's going to be a tough game. It will be a tough game. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.